Yo, yo, yo. Okay, let's make sure that works. So my name is Lendl Tellington, like Stu said. I want you guys to take a moment to think about your most memorable moment from when you were a teenager. Just think about that for a moment. I have two. I'm gonna start off with one and bring up one later on. The first one I had was in 2005. This was the height of the Baltimore City public school deficit. I was attending Baltimore School for the Arts, which is a better off school in comparison to most. But when I was in school, it was one day I was in an English class, and the teacher had brought out 11 by 17-inch paper. And I was really confused why we didn't have 8.5 by 11, like it was like half a worksheet. It left a lot of space for me to doodle, which I love to do, but it was kind of confusing. And they explained to me that like we just weren't going to have any more 8.5 by 11-inch paper because we don't have the money for it. And I met Sue in 2005 and started developing this documentary called School in Baltimore Street, in which we basically talked to Baltimore Algebra Project students and various other students from organizations about the deficit and the activism they were doing. And in that journey, I began to see, I guess, the power that youth can actually have to actually engage communities. There was two different stories that were being told. On the news, it was a story of the district, the teachers, and the State Department of Education. There was no student in the equation in this conversation. So we had the opportunity to go out with cameras and just follow our friends. These are people I've known since middle school, and they were going against the state and telling the story of what was really happening inside schools. For me, it started off with just seeing that I wasn't worth a sheet of paper. And what's the next steps? Well, how are we going to talk to individuals and carry on that conversation? So if you don't mind, Daniel, if you could cue that video. Oh, no, take your time. So,
maybe we can discuss the video.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I think the interesting thing right now that's happening to our communities is that youth are not a part of the equation. The issues that we face today that are plaguing the public school systems, for instance, things that are happening within our communities, within our neighborhoods, we don't engage youth with them, and I want to ask everyone, why that is. How come we don't talk to individuals who are in our communities, even though they are between ages 11 to 18? Why would we have to wait for these individuals to cast a vote for them to dictate what the things that are going to change in our neighborhoods to make ourselves a great city? So I want to talk to you guys about a few things that I've encountered in my past 10 years of working with youth and working in education and working with video production. I started out here in Baltimore, again, when I was here in 2005 with Wide Angle Youth Media. And then I transitioned and moved to Philadelphia. That's where I'm living at right now. So I'm going to bring up a few cases from that. This is Media Mobilizing Project. You go to the next slide. This is Miguel. I met Miguel when he was 17 years old. That was about 5 years ago. Now he's 22. And he was in adult class, teaching individuals video production. And when I met him, he was really insecure about using the camera, didn't know what to do next, and now he's curating his own TV show that's on public access in Philadelphia. You go to the next slide. Similar to what happened here in Baltimore in 2005, it's happening in Philadelphia. Right now, that school system is in $1 billion deficit, just like Baltimore 10 years ago almost. And what happened earlier this year is that 23 schools were being closed. 4 of them managed to survive. This is one of them, named Bieber Middle School. And a lot of the reason why the school was able to retain its opening is because of a video that Miguel produced. Miguel's only 22 years old. I've also worked with another organization there called Philadelphia Student Union. You go to the next slide. Using hashtags like anything on Twitter, they had 215 walkout. They basically curated a 5,000 student walkout this past May. It's the largest one in Philadelphia history. More slides of this walkout. More slides of the walkout. More slides of the walkout. All right, this is really interesting. So additionally to what they're using with Twitter, they curate like a number of hashtags. This is Erica Atwood. I'm probably name dropping real hard right now, but this is what has to happen. So she's a community engagement officer at the basically in the mayor's office of Philadelphia. They were curating a crowdfunded situation to get teacher supplies for the school system because they're in a deficit. Her comment was, "Stop complaining and do something, support." Part of that comment is valid. Do something. Stop complaining. Probably not the best thing to say when you're a community engagement individual. What did the students say? And they said shame for telling people to stop complaining about the total destruction of Philly's public schools. And they also went on to take it on another level and say this is not a sustainable solution, which I think goes back to the conversation of how come we're not including youth into this conversation? How come at the end of the day, when we watch television, when we watch our news, how come the youth aren't featured? How come when we talk about issues of our neighborhoods we mentioned earlier, how come youth aren't in the equation? We talk about education, but how come we're not talking to the individuals who are actually directly affected every day? Cool. I think that's it for that slide. So I wanted you guys to think about, like I said before, that most memorable moment that you had when you were a teenager. I'm just going to talk about a few situations I encountered in my time in being a teacher. When I was teaching in when I was teaching in, the Penn Library, that's on North and Pennsylvania Avenue. Most people may know that that area is pretty much north of an open-air drug market. The police don't touch it for the most part. This is the height of gang violence in that area of town. And with a group of middle school students, we developed a video that basically addressed the issues of gang violence in that area. It was called Division Problems. So these were middle school students engaged in the neighborhood, reaching out to individuals that are their peers, featuring them on camera. Featuring them on camera and talking about the issues that affect them the most. I think there's a schism between the conversations we're having and how come the media that like wide-angle youth media are producing and the media that we watch on our regular daily basis, how come we can't have those conversations together? But I asked the question from here on out, when we do try to include youth into a conversation, I hope we all listen. I hope we carry that thread of conversation through our neighborhoods, through our schools, through our communities to help ourselves grow. I guess to wrap up, we only have a few minutes left. What I wanted to say is that the programs like Wide Angle, programs like MMP, programs like Philadelphia Student Union are not just changing the way that youth are engaging and becoming citizens in our communities, but the simple fact that they are creating content and producing these conversations already changes the infrastructure in which we've existed in for so long. So say for instance, like our public school system cannot have us use cameras. They can't afford them. But these outlets have allowed us to socially change the way in which kids are learning and make impact that we couldn't have in previous years. So that's all I have to say, and thank you for your time.